This is Mark Bell from SuperTraining Gym. SuperTraining Gym, the strongest gym in the West, and I'm here today to tell you what I've learned on over 80 plus days of the Carnivore Diet. I have done probably a lot more than just 80 days of the Carnivore Diet when you consider that I've been meat-based for a really long time. As soon as I found out about protein when I was about 13 years old, I started eating more of it. I started eating more chicken and started eating more ground beef and things like that. And later on, as I wanted to get in better shape and be less fat, because at a young age, at the age of 16, I was around the same weight I am right now, around 240 pounds. I wanted to lose weight, and I found out about a ketogenic diet. Anyway, more recently, what I found in kind of rebooting and restarting, mainly being carnivore, mainly being meat-based, Dr. Sean Baker started World Carnivore Month in January 2017. And I've been doing it every year. And it gets me fired up, gets me excited, and then I go all in on it. As you guys saw, Joe Rogan and my brother and some other people going all in on it. I was able to lose weight. I was able to get lean, especially like those first 20 days. I just really took off a bunch of fat. But in adding other things back in, adding in some milk, adding in some heavy cream, eating cheese, and ditching some fasting for a while, because I don't think it's great to fast all the time year round. So I was utilizing some intermittent fasting, and I've gotten rid of that. The main thing is that it keeps me within striking distance of getting as lean as I'd like at any time. So if I felt like just getting really lean, I could do so within the next 3-4 weeks. If I want to pivot and I want to get really strong, you guys actually saw this happen. First 20 days, I started flexing on you a little bit, and you guys were like, holy shit, like he's leaning out really good. And I was even considering, hey, maybe I'll do another bodybuilding show. As I was going through that process and as I was lifting, I started to notice, oh wow, like okay, my squat is coming back a little bit. That's feeling pretty good. I started squatting 5 plates. I started moving some weights around. All my other training I had, except for a little tiny minor bit of pain in the elbow right here on this guy, I had no pain anywhere. So I was like, all right, let me push the weights around. Started pushing the weights around, and that started to feel really good. And then from there, I was like, you know what? Let me see if I can gain weight on this diet. Because I was doing a lot of fasting. I was like, you know what? Like I'm doing 18 and 20-hour fast every day. And I got some information from my buddy Joel Green and a couple other people. When I get information from people, I really like to test it out. I like to try it. So Joel said, hey, you know what? Maybe be a little careful with how much fasting you're actually doing, because it could have a really big kind of rebound effect. And maybe you should try something different for a while. So I was like, that sounds like a great idea. So I ditched the fasting, and I would just eat when I was hungry. I would still utilize some intermittent fasting, but I would eat when I was hungry. I would eat until I was full. Anytime I had a craving for anything, I'd make sure I eat, but I would stay on the diet. I would stay within the confines of the diet, which is basically any type of meat that you can think of, butter, cheese, bone broth, and then I added in milk and heavy cream. And you saw me kind of pivot from getting leaned out really good within 25, 30 days of January. And then boom, I exploded and started to gain some weight because I started to eat more. I started to eat a lot more eggs. Eggs are high in cholesterol, and eggs can help build up some testosterone in your body. And so I added in some eggs, I added in milk, I added in heavy cream, and I put on like 20 pounds in a really short period of time. That shocked the hell out of me. And as I was lifting, as I was squatting, the 5 plates turned into 6 plates pretty quickly as well. And that started to fly, and that started to feel really good. And so even, through this 80 days, you guys have seen me all over the place. I've been in Columbus, Ohio. I've been in Los Angeles. I have been at a 49ers playoff game. You guys have seen me, birthdays and parties that we've had. I've just been living my life just as you guys do with your children and with your family. The diet hasn't felt hard at all. It's felt very simple. It's felt very easy. The diet is so simple. Like, hey man, how do I lose fat? Just eat meat and exercise. And you will most likely lose body fat, especially if you have a lot of it to lose. Things can get trickier if you're already lean. Then we might have to implement some different tricks. But for the most part, that's a real simple thing to do. Oh, wait a second, only eat meat? What does that mean? You know, what else can I eat? Not a whole lot. It's pretty much just meat, eggs, bone broth, butter, as I mentioned. And then if you want to gain weight, you can throw in milk and heavy cream, because those things will help you gain some weight. But what I love about it the most is just that the diet has been super simple. As I mentioned, it hasn't been hard. I always have food prepared because I use a crock pot, which is just a slow cooker. And people ask for my recipes for the crock pot all the time. Well, here's the recipe. I take a steak, I throw it in the crock pot, I dump some Epic, it's called Epic bone broth. I throw Epic bone broth on top of it. It's beef jalapeno, and then I throw some salt in there, and it's good to go. The thing sits there for maybe like a day or two. It sits there for 24 hours or so, and then the steak is just absolutely perfect. It's all like falling apart and everything. You can cook any type of meat in a slow cooker. It could be chicken, it could be pork, it could be literally anything. More often than not, I try to use a chuck roast in the crock pot, and that seems to work really well. But don't take anybody else's advice for it. Throw whatever the hell steaks that you want in there, because they'll all come out pretty good. The only problem is they always taste like crock pot meat. It has a certain specific flavor to it, and it never really changes. Not much you can do about that. But you could spice it up if you wanted. You could throw some garlic in there, some onions, some different things, so it has a little bit different flavor to it. But that's my go-to. That's there all the time. I had some this morning, and I cooked up some eggs with it just to try to give it a little bit different flavor. And I mixed the eggs in with it. But I have that almost every single morning. Usually later on in the day, I'll have a hamburger, and then the last thing I'll eat is steak. So every day I get to experience kind of some different steaks and some different. I'll buy some burgers, and I'll use Piedmontese burgers, and I will just throw different types of cheese on top of it. Sometimes I'll buy fancy, nice cheese. Sometimes I'll buy grass-fed cheese. Sometimes I'll just buy straight up American cheese. It just depends on what I want for the day. But that massively changes the food. That massively changes how it tastes. That massively changes exactly what it is. I've made meatballs. I've done all kinds of stuff. Meatballs are super simple. Get turkey, kind of a fattier turkey, not super lean turkey, and get some pork. You know, roll those things up in little meatballs. Throw some Italian seasoning on there. Throw it in the oven. Don't be afraid to use a little bit of marinara sauce. I mean, you can't have meatballs without marinara sauce. It just doesn't make any sense. I don't care what diet you're on. I'm Italian over here. You know, you got to sometimes... and that's the other thing. Don't worry about what people have to say about your version of the carnivore diet. If you're able to make progress on it, and if you want to lose weight, and you are progressing towards dropping weight, you are progressing this way towards losing some weight, and your goal is over here, and you're heading in that direction, no one can tell you anything about what you're doing. No one can ever say what you're doing is wrong or it's not the right way to do it, because you have a particular goal, you're heading there, and don't let anybody else stop you or slow you down with their nonsense, because you're going to get a lot of different people saying, that's not carnivore, that's not carnivore. Stay on the diet the best that you can, and realize that if you have a cup of coffee, that you're not thrown off the team or anything like that. Coffee is a plant, okay? If you have kratom, you're not off the team. If you have any sort of plants, or you use chewing tobacco, or you smoke a cigarette, or even if you have a beer, you're not thrown off the team. You just want to try to be as consistent with it as you possibly can. And for myself, over the course of the 80 days, it's not like I've been super crazy precise with it. I've had a Quest cookie, I've had a Quest bar, I've had a Perfect Keto bar. I've utilized products from Perfect Keto, such as like the MCT oil powder. I have whey protein shakes, Slingshot protein. I have Keto Pro. I have some of these different things to keep me consistent with the diet, to keep me on the actual plan for a longer period of time. If I didn't have that stuff, I might go haywire, and I might end up eating like a brownie or something like that, or ice cream. And then in that case, I would be kicked off the team, right? So make it make sense for you. This has been my experience through the 80 days. I've been feeling great with it. I'm about to hit up a workout right now. Energy has been really good. My energy hasn't changed really, because my energy, I always feel fairly energetic. I'm fired up and excited about every single day. So that hasn't really changed. But for some of you that may be flat here and there, this might be the perfect diet for you, to help get you fired up and to help get you excited. And I know that it will help pull body fat off of you if you've had a hard time with losing body fat. And again, what I've found for a lot of lifters, a lot of bigger guys, and a lot of just people that kind of enjoy eating, period, they like some of these savory foods. They like some of these fattier foods. So eggs and bacon and butter and steak and hamburger and cheeseburger and going to In-N-Out Burger here and there. All of it sounds like an amazing opportunity rather than being on a diet. So if you're that kind of person, please join me. Please join the fun. Please, in the comments below, I really want to know how long you've been doing a diet for. I want to know how it's impacting you. And I want to know if you were able to pass it on to anybody else. Were you able to say, hey, Tag, you're it. Try that with somebody in your family. Say, hey, you're it. And they'll say, what? Say, yeah, you're on the carnivore diet, bitch. Strength is never weakness. Weakness is never strength. Catch y'all later.